Breaking news, another foreign prisoner at large after being mistakenly released from prison. Our political correspondent Rob Powell is here with an update and we understand now we know who it is.
Yeah, the name of the person who was wrongly released is Brahim Kaddour-Cherif. We understand there'll be an official statement going up soon from the police, an appeal going up soon, but that is the name that we understand is correct. Obviously now you're in this position where after, given what we know from the government of David Lammy apparently feeling uneasy about confirming this or putting this information out there when there was still an investigation going on, you're now kind of going to the other end of the spectrum in that I guess the police will want to put as much information out there as possible, including you would presume pictures of this individual in a bid to try and track him down. We saw what happened after the Hadish Kabatu release. There was moving picture stills put up, his movements put up as well. The difficulty, I guess, with this case is that there appears to be quite a large lag of time, 6 days, I think, between this mistaken release and the Metropolitan Police actually being informed that this release had happened in error. And given those first 2 or 3 days, as you've been hearing from some of your policing commentators today, are the most important in trying to figure out where the person is, you wonder whether they will be able to have the same level of detail of public transport that he had got, areas of the city that he had travelled to, photos, things like that, because I guess it's that information that will really help pin him down. But with 6 days between the Met finding out that this person has gone, they've got a job on their hands, to put it frankly.
Yeah, 24-year-old Algerian man, Brahim Kaddour-Cherif. Let's talk a bit about the politics of all of this, because it's been a fascinating afternoon here in Westminster. When Prime Minister's questions happened earlier, David Lammy, standing in for Sir Keir Starmer, refusing 5 times to answer that question put by the Conservative bench about whether a prisoner had been released in the same way, to his knowledge, by mistake, and he refused to answer that question. We now know, don't we, that he did know the answer to that question. Why do you think he made that decision not to just be upfront about it?
So the reason being advanced by government sources is that basically there was a complicated investigation going on, a manhunt going on by the Metropolitan Police, and David Lammy didn't feel it was responsible for a politician to make that news, essentially to put that news out there. Maybe he felt that it was for the Metropolitan Police to make that announcement that a manhunt was going on rather than him saying it. I guess another part of this might be, and I don't know whether, we discussed this earlier, but I don't know whether this was a calculation on the part of the Conservatives or not. They didn't actually say that something had happened. They didn't reveal this news. They clearly knew that someone had been freed mistakenly, but they didn't stand up and say, this is what we've learned, what's your reaction to it? If they had said that, maybe the reaction from David Lammy would have been different. They simply were sort of poking him, trying to almost goad him into the trap that eventually I think he pretty much walked into by saying, you know, can you rule out, can you give us an assurance that this hasn't happened before? So maybe that factored into David Lammy's head as well when he was there, that he didn't feel enough information had been put out there already for him to go the whole hog and put the info out there. I think there is a bit of a judgment question, though, about that, but also about what he did do, because when you watch back those exchanges, he was pretty punchy. You know, at one point he was going, get a grip, man, to James Cartledge across the dispatch box, talking about the Conservatives' record and people mistakenly released during the Conservative tenure. It feels weird, given that in the back of his head, he knew that this had gone on, his officials had been working all night, the Metropolitan Police were trying to find this guy, that he would be quite that bullish towards his opposite number, given he knew that something inevitably later in the day was about to break, which would look very, very deeply awkward for him.
And the Lib Dems putting out a statement calling for David Lammy to return to the Commons to answer further questions about all of this. I mean, that's simply not going to happen, is it?
Doesn't look like it. James Cartledge was back in the Commons a little earlier this afternoon and raised a point of order. It's basically a way that MPs can stand up outside of the normal kind of diaried bits in the Commons and ask a question to the Speaker about the order of the day, about how the day is shaping up, essentially, or whether someone is out of order. It's supposed to be a technical thing, but it tends to be used by MPs to make points, as James Cartledge has when he stood up the middle of the afternoon and said, has the government said that they'll come back and make a statement? And the Speaker said no. So it's in the government's gift to do that. It would be up to the government whether they wanted to come back. It's too late to put in an urgent question, which is the way that the opposition tends to drag ministers to the dispatch box. And of course, if we don't get that today, and because it's a Wednesday, I think they'll sit until usually 6, 7 o'clock, they then rise for a bit of a mini recess, a bit of a mini break, until Tuesday, I think they come back. So the earliest now, we presume anyway, unless they decide to come and do a statement at the last minute, the earliest that David Lammy will be back in the Commons answering questions from MPs on this is now Tuesday.
And he may be caught by then, of course. We don't know.
Well, I think the government would certainly hope so.
OK.